The sound of the trash lid slamming shut was louder than my heartbeat. Chocolate smeared down the side of the garbage bag like blood on silk. My sister Allison stood there, arms crossed, eyes cold, as if she'd just done something noble. "It's gross, Emma," she sneered. "You know I hate chocolate. You should have thought about me before ordering it." I blinked, the candles still flickering on the table. My friends, my mom, even my boyfriend, everyone stood frozen. No one said a word. My name is Emma. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been treated like a stranger at your own celebration? Allison wasn't always like this. She used to be my best friend. But lately, every smile from her felt like a weapon. I forced a shaky laugh. "It's my birthday, Allison. You didn't have to eat it." She shrugged, grabbed her phone and walked away. "Whatever. You're so dramatic." Mom sighed. "Let it go, honey. She's just opinionated." Opinionated? Oh, he was cruel. And that moment, standing there staring at my cake in the trash, I felt something inside me click. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was clarity. That was the night I realized, if Allison could throw away what I loved just because it wasn't hers, maybe it was time she learned how that felt. And the lesson? It would start sooner than she ever expected. The next morning, Allison acted like nothing happened. She strutted into the kitchen wearing my hoodie, the one she borrowed and never returned, sipping iced coffee like she owned the house. "Morning," she said flatly. "Oh, by the way, can you Venmo me $40? I saw this top online and Mom said you still owe me from last month." I stared at her, then at the empty coffee cup I'd left on the counter last night. She'd used my cup too. Every little thing she touched became hers. Every boundary I set she crossed. I smiled. "Sure, Allison. I'll send it later." But inside something was shifting. Revenge doesn't always come as fire. Sometimes it comes slow, like honey dripping, patient and golden, until it's impossible to wash off. That day I started watching her, really watching. What she liked, what she wanted, what she bragged about. Her whole world revolved around attention. Likes. Compliments. Being the center of every photo, every story. So I decided that would be the key. That night I opened her Instagram on my phone. She'd left it logged in before. I didn't touch anything, not yet. I just scrolled. Dozens of photos of her, filters heavy, captions fake deep. "Sparkles be kind. The world needs its sparkles." Written by the same girl who threw my birthday cake in the trash. My jaw clenched. Then I saw it, her new post. A picture of the two of us smiling at the party. Caption: "Happy birthday to my favorite sister. Love you forever, 2 hearts." The comments were full of hearts and compliments. Nobody knew that an hour after that picture she'd humiliated me in front of everyone. That's when I made my plan. If she wanted the world to think she was perfect, I'd show them what she really was. But I couldn't just expose her. That would be too easy. No, I wanted her to feel what I felt. Powerless, embarrassed, and alone. So I waited. Quietly. Because revenge, when done right, doesn't need anger. It just needs timing. And hers was coming. She bragged about being careful with money, about always making smart choices. Allison loved the image of herself as flawless, organized, in control, untouchable. So I built a problem she couldn't control. I started with the little things. A breadcrumb trail that led to a door she would willingly walk through. I took note of the restaurant she always posted from, the bar where she accepted drinks from strangers, the boutique where she tried on clothes and asked the clerk for compliments. I listened when she complained about slow Wi-Fi or fake friends. I learned her alibis. I mapped her vanity like a blueprint. Revenge needs more than cruelty. It needs costume, choreography, an audience that will believe the play you stage. So I rehearsed in silence. 2 days before the plan, I texted her like the small, obedient sister. "Can you pick up Mom's dry cleaning? I'll Venmo." She replied with a heart emoji and an on it. She walked into the trap wearing her confidence like a shield. I made sure the pieces were live. An anonymous account, beautiful, curated, started following Allison on Instagram. It liked 2 of her most polished photos, then sent a DM praising her hair, asking about a fun meetup. I left her phone charging in the living room where she always left it, and I walked out to the store casually as if I hadn't arranged anything at all. Allison accepted the DM invitation. She told me later she thought the account was from a stylist. She told me she wanted to expand her brand. The words tasted like poison when she said them out loud. Brand. Image. The constant worry about being seen as perfect had eaten her whole. On the night of the meetup I'd orchestrated, Allison dressed to win. She wore the emerald dress that photographs like a dream. She left the house with a kiss on Mom's cheek and a smile painted on for public display. I watched her go from the window, then I slid into action. I'd arranged for a mutual stylist friend to be at the same restaurant. Someone with a soft voice and a camera. The friend approached her, gentle and flattering, asking for a quick photo for a mock editorial. Allison posed without hesitation. The camera flashed. Once, twice. The friend whispered, "Do you mind if I tag you?" Allison beamed, "Of course." What she didn't know was that I'd rerouted the tag to a private group I controlled. A group full of people I'd quietly gathered. Old classmates, ex-colleagues, strangers who owed her favors, and a couple of people who liked drama. I posted the photos with captions that were true, but trimmed like a knife. Little truths dressed up as gossip. Isn't it weird how Allison always gets what she wants? Funny she brags about charity but never shows up. Each caption was a pinprick. Then I pulled the lever everyone waits for. Timing. I posted the photos to the group at 8:58, right before her scheduled live Q&A with followers, an event she'd planned to cement her authenticity. As her livestream began, messages flooded her phone. Pings, whispers, screenshot chains. Her smile faltered. The Q&A turned into a minefield. She tried to laugh it off. She tried to deflect. But the group I'd put together wasn't a courtroom. It was a mirror, and the mirror does not lie. People started asking questions out loud. Would she answer? Would she be the woman she'd always pretended to be? Allison's hands trembled in front of the camera. For the first time in years she looked small. I didn't gloat. I watched, quiet as rain. Because the next moment had to be the moment she understood, not just saw but felt, that every cruel thing she'd done had a cost. Outside, a single candle in the window burned down to its base, molten and small, like a coin melting into truth. The next morning the house was silent. Not the kind of quiet that feels peaceful. The kind that hums with something broken. Allison's door was shut, her phone nowhere in sight. Mom hovered in the kitchen, stirring coffee she wasn't drinking. "She's upset," Mom said softly. "Someone said awful things about her online. She's been crying all night." I stared at the floor. "Really?" My voice came out too steady. Mom nodded. "You girls need to stop this competition. It's getting ugly." Competition. That word cut through me like glass. She made it sound mutual, like I'd been fighting to be seen while Allison was just defending herself. No, she had started this war the moment she decided her happiness mattered more than mine. I went upstairs. The door to Allison's room was cracked open. Inside she sat on her bed, eyes red and swollen, scrolling through her phone like it was a lifeline she couldn't let go of. When she saw me she flinched. "You've seen it, right?" she whispered. I nodded. "Yeah." Her voice broke. "They're saying I buy followers. That I fake charity posts for attention. Who would do this?" She looked at me like she was asking for air, like she thought maybe I'd save her. And for a moment I wanted to. I really did. But then I remembered the look on her face when she threw my cake away. How she smiled while I stood there humiliated, my friends watching. Now she was the one being watched. "Maybe people are just seeing the real you," I said quietly. Her head snapped up. "What's that supposed to mean?" I shrugged. "Maybe they're just tired of pretending." She stared at me and I could see it, the flicker of suspicion. Her mouth opened then closed. "Did you?" she started, but the words died in her throat. I turned to leave. "Not everything's about you, Allison." The lie tasted sweet. That night she didn't come down for dinner. Mom kept checking on her. Dad asked questions that no one answered, and the air in the house felt like static. One spark away from fire. In my room I scrolled through the private group. The comments were brutal now, some even crueler than I expected. A A few strangers had found the posts and spread them farther. The story had legs of its own. For a second my chest tightened. This was supposed to be a lesson, not destruction. But when you open the door to chaos, it doesn't stop where you want it to. Then a notification popped up. Allison had posted something. It was a black screen with white text. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who break you the most. And underneath a single word, enough. My fingers froze above the screen. This wasn't the victory I imagined. It felt like standing on ashes, warm but lifeless. Somewhere deep down, a whisper crawled up my spine. What if you went too far? But it was too late to take anything back. Because in the morning, Allison would do something that none of us would ever forget. The scream woke me. Not the kind of scream that comes from surprise. The kind that rips straight out of someone's chest, raw and real. I ran down the hall. Mom was banging on Allison's door. Dad was right behind her, his voice shaking. Allison, open this door now. When she finally did, she looked like a ghost. Her eyes were swollen, her hands trembling around her phone. The screen was cracked, maybe from being thrown, maybe from her grip. They're everywhere, she whispered. The posts, the comments, the screenshots. Everyone at school's talking about me. Mom rushed to hug her, but Allison pushed her away. They're saying I made up my charity work, that I stole someone's ideas. People are DMing me that I'm a fraud. Her voice broke and she covered her face. Someone set me up. I stood by the doorway, frozen between guilt and victory. I'd meant to humble her, not destroy her. But the internet doesn't understand mercy. Once it tastes blood, it wants more. Dad turned to me. Emma, did you see any of this before it blew up? I shook my head. No. I just woke up. He stared at me a moment too long, like he was reading something in my eyes. Then he nodded and went back to comforting Allison. The next few days were chaos. Mom called the school. Dad threatened to contact the police. Allison deleted every account, crying that her life was over. He barely ate, barely slept. Me. I tried to feel satisfied. I told myself she deserved this. That this was balance, justice. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw her throwing my cake into the trash. And then I saw her sitting on the edge of her bed, broken. I didn't recognize the person I'd become. On the fourth day, she knocked on my door. Her voice was flat. Can we talk? I nodded, unsure what to expect. She sat on my bed, hands folded in her lap. I don't know what I did to you lately, she began softly, but I'm sorry. I really am. I don't know why you hate me. The words hit me like a blade. I wanted to scream that I didn't hate her, that I just wanted her to understand what it felt like to be humiliated. But I couldn't. The guilt had glued my throat shut. She looked up at me, her eyes glassy. You know, I thought if I acted like I didn't care about people, they couldn't hurt me. Guess I was wrong. She stood up, forcing a small smile. Anyway, I'll be out of your hair. I'm going to stay with Aunt Laura for a while. Maybe I just need space. And before I could respond, she left. The next morning, her room was empty. The air smelled faintly of her perfume, vanilla and something bitter underneath. Mom told me she hadn't answered any calls since she left. Dad was pacing, worried. That night, I opened my laptop. I went back to the private group, ready to delete everything to stop the mess. But the page was gone. Deleted. Someone else had beaten me to it. Then a new post appeared on my feed from an anonymous account. A photo of me. Caption, funny how karma always finds its way home. My stomach dropped. Allison hadn't just disappeared. She'd started her own game. At first I thought it was just one post. A random troll. Maybe someone who'd seen what happened to Allison and wanted revenge on her behalf. But by morning there were 3 more. Each one was about me. The first was a screenshot of my old text messages. Ones I'd sent months ago, venting about my family, saying things I didn't mean. Sometimes I wish Allison would just move out for good. The second was a photo from 2 years ago. Me at a party holding a drink I wasn't supposed to have. The caption read, "Little Miss Perfect has her own secrets." And the third one was worse. It was a screen recording of my Venmo history, showing the fake payments I'd sent to build my revenge plan. The username was circled in red. The The girl who paid to ruin her own sister. My heart stopped. I slammed my laptop shut and backed away like the screen had bitten me. No one else was awake yet. The house was still, that early kind of silence when everything feels heavier. I tried to steady my breathing. She wouldn't, I whispered to myself. She couldn't know. But she did. Somehow Allison had figured it out. And she wasn't just fighting back, she was better at it. By noon the posts were everywhere. Shared, commented on, dissected. People who once pitied me were now calling me a monster. I got a text from my best friend Kara. Emma, tell me this isn't true. Another from Mom. We need to talk. Now. When I came downstairs, both of them were waiting. Mom and Dad sitting on the couch, my phone screenshots pulled up on Dad's tablet. Mom's voice trembled. Emma, did you do this to your sister? I froze. The lie that had once come so easily stuck to my tongue. I was angry, I finally said. She threw my cake in the trash. She embarrassed me. Mom's face broke. So you destroyed her life? I tried to speak, but tears blurred my words. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Dad's voice was low. Intentions don't fix consequences. I wanted to disappear, but that was the thing. I couldn't. Not anymore. Allison had made sure of it. Later that night I saw her story go live. A black and white video. No filter. No makeup. Just her face. Calm, composed, too calm. This week my reputation got ruined, she said softly. By someone who wanted to teach me a lesson. But maybe they forgot I learn fast. Then she smiled. Not cruelly. Not angrily. Just knowingly. We're sisters. We know each other's weaknesses. And mine isn't guilt. The video cut off. My phone buzzed again. A notification. She tagged me. My follower count started dropping one by one like falling dominoes. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house felt like her voice. Every vibration from my phone felt like another secret being peeled open. I thought I was teaching her a lesson about cruelty. But now she was teaching me about consequences. And the scariest part? She was winning. By the 5th day the walls of my life felt smaller. Every text, every ping, every whisper was another reminder that I'd become the villain in a story I wrote myself. I didn't go to class. I didn't eat. Even the air felt heavy, like guilt had weight. Mom had stopped talking to me except to ask if I'd called Allison. Dad was colder, polite but distant, like he was speaking to a stranger he used to love. And Allison, she was everywhere. Her new account was spotless. Her tone soft, apologetic, forgiving. She posted photos of old memories, captioned things like, "We all make mistakes. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are just broken inside." It wasn't just a post. It was a trap, and everyone fell for it. She became the wounded saint. I became the sister who stabbed her in the back. That night I couldn't take it anymore. I called her. She answered on the 3rd ring. Emma. Her voice was steady. Too steady. "I need to see you," I said. Face to face. Pause. Then, tomorrow. 7 p.m. At the old park. The one where we used to play as kids. The one with the broken swing and the oak tree that carved our initials. When I got there she was already sitting on the bench. Hood up, hair tied back, face bare. For a second I saw my sister again. Not the villain. Not the victim. Just Allison. "Why?" she asked quietly when I sat down. "Why'd you do it?" I opened my mouth, but the truth came out before I could soften it. "Because you humiliated me. Because every time I tried to love you, you made me feel small." She looked at me, eyes glinting under the streetlight. "And you think revenge fixed that?" "No," I said. "But it made it fair." She laughed bitterly. "Fair? You made me a joke to everyone I know." "You did that to me first," I snapped. Her shoulders tensed. "That cake? That's what this is about." "It wasn't just the cake, Allison. It was everything. The way Mom always took your side, the way you took everything that was mine. My clothes, my friends, my space." I stood up, voice shaking. "You treated me like a prop in your life, and when you threw away that cake, it was the last thing I had left that was mine." She didn't speak for a long time. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere in the distance a dog barked. Finally, she whispered, I didn't throw it away because I hated chocolate. I froze. What? Her voice cracked. It wasn't about the cake. Mom told me you were getting all A's. That Dad was bragging about you again. I felt invisible. You always look so put together. And she stopped, exhaling hard. I just wanted to ruin something of yours, the way I felt you ruined everything of mine. The confession hit me harder than anger ever could. All that hate, all that chaos. It had never been about desserts or parties. It was about two sisters trying to be seen in a house that only had enough light for one. We sat in silence for what felt like hours. I deleted the posts, she said finally. All of them. The ones about you. I nodded. I'll delete mine too. She looked at me, half smiling through tears. Do you think people like us can ever go back? I stared at the swing creaking in the wind. No. But maybe we can start over. The silence between us wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't peace. It was something rawer, the beginning of understanding. But even as I stood to leave, I knew this wasn't the end. Because in stories like ours, peace always costs something. And the final payment was still waiting. It was raining the next morning. The kind of soft, steady rain that makes the world feel slower, quieter, as if it's washing something away. Allison came home around noon. No grand apology, no speech. Just a duffel bag, wet hair, and eyes that looked older than they had a week ago. Mom cried when she saw her. Dad hugged her too long. Nobody mentioned me. Nobody mentioned what we'd done. That night, while everyone was asleep, I went to her room. She was awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor, sorting through old photos. She didn't look up when I walked in. You deleted everything? I asked softly. She nodded. You. Yeah. We sat in silence. The air between us wasn't hostile anymore. It was fragile, like glass trying to remember what it felt like to be whole. Finally, she said, you know, the worst part wasn't losing followers or friends. It was realizing that you hated me enough to make the world hate me too. I didn't hate you, I whispered. I just wanted you to feel what I felt, that kind of loneliness that sticks to your bones. She looked up, eyes glistening. You got your wish. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I reached for one of the old photos on the floor. The two of us in matching pink dresses, frosting smeared on our cheeks, holding a birthday cake between us. I think we forgot who we were, I said. She laughed weakly. Yeah. Two girls who used to fight over the last piece of cake. I smiled. Maybe we still can, but without throwing it away this time. For the first time in days, she smiled back. Not the kind she saved for pictures. The real one. The one I hadn't seen since we were kids. Weeks passed. Slowly, life found its rhythm again. The storm online died down. The world moved on like it always does. Allison started volunteering for real this time. Not for photos, not for posts. I helped her. Quietly. No hashtags. No filters. Just effort. We didn't tell anyone the truth about what happened. Maybe because the truth was uglier than either of us could admit. Maybe because it wasn't one person's fault. It was both of ours. But sometimes late at night I'd catch her looking at me. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with understanding. And I realized something I hadn't before. Revenge doesn't heal. It just mirrors pain, reflecting it back until both people bleed. I thought I'd taught her a lesson about cruelty. But she taught me something deeper. That forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the need to hurt back. So, on my next birthday I ordered the same cake. Chocolate. Thick frosting. Too sweet. When Allison walked in she hesitated. Then slowly she smiled. Chocolate again, she teased. Yeah, I said. You can throw it away if you want. She shook her head. No. This time I'll have a slice. And just like that, one bite, one shared moment, we began again. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like rain after a storm, soft but sure, washing the bitterness away.